We are here today at Alta Mesa Memorial Park in Palo Alto. Now, before I go off on a tangent, oh, we're here visiting the grave of Shirley Temple, arguably one of the more famous people in Northern California. But before I go off on a tangent, I just want to tell you that Steve Jobs is also buried in the cemetery. However, he is not going to be a subject of most minute because his grave is unmarked. And to respect the privacy of his family, we are not going to analyze locations like from apple trees to his parents' graves like other people have done. So anyway, Shirley Temple had a very successful career as a diplomat in her adulthood, but she's probably best known today as a child actress. She was in movies basically dominating the 30s in about probably 15 films. She continued to make movies until 1949, but as she got older, her films became less successful. Classic child star curse. She was born in Santa Monica on April 23rd, 1928, to Gertrude Temple and George Temple, who was a bank employee. And her mother encouraged her artistic pursuits and talents. She did a screen test for a movie called Stand Up and Cheer, which became her first film role. And from that point on, it was basically one film after the other. She signed a contract with 20th Century Fox. And then after making Stand Up and Cheer, she made Now Take a Bow and Bright Eyes. At this point, Shirley was basically considered a beacon in the midst of the Depression. Even FDR commented that people could go see a movie for like 15 cents, they could watch a cute little girl sing and dance with A-list stars for an hour, and then all of a sudden things didn't seem quite so bad. So in that regard, Bright Eyes was actually written with her in mind. It contained her signature song on the good ship Lollipop, and she won the Juvenile Oscar for it in 1935. At this point, per her contract, she made 4 movies per year instead of 3. So between 1935 and 1937, she made Curly Top, The Little Colonel, and Now and Forever, and Heidi. And then from 1937 to 1939, she made The Little Princess, Rebecca's Sunnybrook Farm, and Dimples. Now those weren't even all of her films. She made more movies than I can list here. And in 1939, oh wait, backtrack. She became a huge influence on popular culture at the time. She was in a Donald Duck cartoon. She was the subject of a Salvador Dali painting. And she also lent trademark images of herself to merchandise, like clothing and dolls, namely clothing and dolls. But she was always protective of her image as being a wholesome child actress. And so when unscrupulous fraudsters came out and put counterfeit images of her on items like cigars and alcohol, she actually sued. And she successfully sued a company over fake Lenora dolls. It was always important to her that people regard her as the child actress she was known for. Maybe not child actress, but the wholesome star that she was known for. She was very protective of that image. In 1939, her contract with 20th Century Fox was coming to an end, and her mother decided that she wanted a more normal life for her. So she enrolled her in the Westlake School for Girls down in Southern California. It was the first time in her life she had ever gone to mainstream school, so I'm sure it was just undoubtedly a tough transition. But her classmate, June Lockhart, later recalled that she fit in right away and that she was not given any preferential treatment because of her film career. She graduated from the school in 1945. After the contract with 20th Century Fox ended, she signed with MGM. But this contract also ended very quickly due to sexual misconduct. She made one film with them that was a total flop. It was called Kathleen. And they actually wanted her to star in Babes on Broadway alongside Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. That idea was shelved pretty quickly because they were afraid that she'd be upstaged by either Mickey Rooney or Judy Garland. And from that point, she signed with United Artists. And again, at this point, this is the mid 1940s, but she continued to make movies. Her next few films were not successful. The most well-known ones today are The Story of Seabiscuit, Hagen Girl, in which she starred alongside Ronald Reagan, and Fort Apache, in which she appeared with John Wayne. But she continued making movies until 1949, and then she retired from films in 1950. But she continued to have a TV presence. She hosted the Shirley Temple Storybook, the Shirley Temple Show, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Stars, and she also produced a TV film of her autobiography, Child Star, which I actually remember watching myself on TV in the late 90s. In 1945, she had married John Agar, but it was not a happy marriage. They had one child together, and then in 1950 they got divorced, citing mental cruelty. Later that same year, she married Charles Alden Black. They had 2 children together, and he was a successful businessman after serving in the military. In the 1960s, she decided to embark on a new career herself, politics. She was an active member of the Republican Party, and she ran in a special election for the California state representatives after J. Arthur Younger died. She lost this race. This was 1967. She lost. She came in second in the Republican primary behind Pete McCloskey. After that, she set her sights on foreign service because Henry Kissinger heard her talking about Southwest Africa at a party and was surprised to learn that she was politically astute. In 1969, she was named a delegate to the UN General Assembly by Richard Nixon. In 1974, she was appointed ambassador to Ghana by Gerald Ford. In 1976, President Carter appointed her the first female chief protocol of the United States. Then after this, she took a little bit of her own recess for a while, and she was eventually appointed ambassador to Czechoslovakia in 1989 by George H.W. Bush. And she was the first and only woman in this role. She was there during the Velvet Revolution when communism ended in the area, and ironically, she was also there in 1968 for a charity when the Soviets first invaded. In 1972, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she actually went public with this diagnosis in an effort to curb the stigma surrounding it. But she also had a smoking habit, and this was one that she, going back to how protective she was of her image as being as wholesome, this wholesome, cute child actress with the curls, which were not natural, by the way. She never smoked in public, but it did its damage anyway, and she was diagnosed with COPD. And COPD claimed her on February 10th, 2014, here close in her home close by in Woodside. She was 85 years old. Of course, she's timeless. This is a timeless picture of her on the grave right here, and her movies are going to be known forever. And along those same lines, she had She was awarded a lot of accolades and awards in her life. She has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She has a Kennedy Center honor. She she was awarded the Screen Actors Guild Lifetime Achievement Award. She got the Golden Plate award from the American Academy of Achievement. And what I feel like she probably considered her ultimate honor was that she was honorary in 1975. She was she was appointed honorary paramount chief of Ghana's Okwa people. So that's a little bit about the life of Shirley Temple in a nutshell. And may she rest in peace. Thank you.